Alrighty. Welcome back to another stream. I'm Cowboy, and today we'll be reviewing a bunch of Linux Privilege Escalation modules, starting off with TryHackMe's Linux Privilege room. This should be a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining in. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. As usual, let's go ahead and pull up our browser and we will try our daily hackapromptal. Always good to try and trick the AI. If I could find the browser. Little technical difficulties today, but we're getting through it. All right. There we go. Just adjust that. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. Another day, another dollar, another room to hack. So let's go over to our hacker prompt. Okay. So it looks like no prompt is up today. Let's see if that's maybe just our ad blocker. No? Okay. Well, that makes it easier. Let's go ahead and jump into our TryHackMe room. So this is a medium room, and they do have a few of these, but starting off with this one, we'll learn the fundamentals of Linux privilege escalation from enumeration to exploitation. Get hands-on with over 8 different priv-esc techniques. So the reason I wanted to do this one today is because yesterday we just blanked. I struggled to escalate our privilege. I'm sure it's something small I missed, but what a better time to just get a nice little refresher. We'll go ahead and join the room, and in the background, fire up our tally box. Yeah, the choices were a little slim today because it was either going to be this CTF or we would be working through a coding game like we discussed yesterday. But I think we'll try and save that for next week. I'm trying to expand our palette here, figure out what else you guys might enjoy watching. One of the other things I considered is some other hack games that I have. So in the past, we've played Hacknet, but there's also ones that are focused on, let me just pull them up. Focused on like assembly code, especially talking to chat yesterday, we figured out some exploitation we were discussing. And there are certain games like Comet 64. What else? Specifically, there's also the TIS 100. That's a fun one. Now, none of these games I've actually finished, but what you have to do is write assembly code to solve these puzzles to sort of start building up the story. I have had fun playing them just on my own, so I think it might be fun to help other people who want to get into assembly code. And really, it is important to understand because our whole world pretty much runs off of it. Now, to what degree, there's a reason it's high level language or low level language. But understanding the difference and understanding the lower level language, you might be able to manipulate things to do what you want. Another thing you might have noticed is I've changed our goal. So if we hit 100 followers here on Twitch, I'll stop dragging my feet and build us a Discord and start building our community up. All right, our Kali box should be up and running. Let's go ahead and check that out. Guess it would also help to read the questions. Oh, okay, this might be more of a walkthrough than a actual hands-on, but we'll find out. Okay, privilege escalation is a journey. There are no silver bullets, and much depends on specific configuration of the target system. The kernel version, installed applications, supported programming language, other users' passwords are two key elements that will affect your road to root shell. Gotta love root. This room was designed to cover the main privilege-esque vectors and give you a better understanding of the process. This new skill will be an essential part of your arsenal, whether you are participating in CTFs, taking certification exams, or working as a pen tester. All right, I already see that there's a box down here. So what does privilege escalation mean? Always good to go back to basics. So at its core, privilege escalation usually involves going from lower permission account to a higher permission one, where technically it's the exploitation of a vulnerability, design flaw, or configuration oversight in an operating system or application to gain unauthorized access to resources that are usually restricted from the user. So in layman terms, it's pretty much like your grade school or high school computer that's being locked down and trying to get past a lot of the roadblocks that the IT people have set up to make sure those computers are as secure as possible. Why is it important? It's rare when performing a real world pen test to be able to gain a foothold or initial access that gives you direct administrative access. Notice that they said rare. It's not unheard of. It's not impossible, but it is rare. Privilege escalation is crucial because it lets you gain system admin levels of access, which allows you to perform actions such as resetting passwords, bypassing access control to compromise protected data, editing software configurations, enabling persistence, changing the privilege of existing or new users, and execute any administrative commands. So one of the previous CTFs we did, we were able to add our own user that had more privilege than root, and we were able to use that to gain our final flag. All right. There we go. Now we can start up our machine. Oh, wait, target machine. Launch the target machine attached to this task to follow along. You can launch the target machine and access it directly from your browser, or we can SSH over with a low privilege user using the creds below. Oh, okay, we do already have those. Let's terminate that. Our machine was started. Where'd it go? Do we have to have both? They're probably the same box, but we'll just hop back and forth. It'll be easier. So, enumeration, always a key part in any cybersecurity exercise. We have our username and password. Enumeration is the first step you have to take once you gain access to any system. You may have accessed the system by exploiting a critical vulnerability that resulted in root level access, or just found a way to send commands using a low privileged account. Penetration testing engagements, unlike CTF machines, don't end once you gain access to specific systems or user privilege level. As you'll see, enumeration is as important during the post-compromise phase as it is before. Makes sense? So we have host name, so that will just give you some information about the targeted box. Although this value can easily be changed or have relatively meaningless string like Ubuntu dash whatever. In some cases, it can provide information about the target system's role with corporate networks, such as SQL prod 01 for production SQL server. I've seen that out in the wild a lot. You need a way to organize your boxes. We have uname-a. So this will print the system information, giving us additional detail using kernel about the kernel used by the system. This will be useful when searching for any potential kernel vulnerabilities that could lead to privilege escalation. Proc version. The proc file system, procfs, provides information about the target system's processes. You will find proc on many different Linux flavors, making it an essential tool for your arsenal. So if we look at the proc version, it may give us information on the kernel version and additional data such as whether a compiler like GCC is installed. Just like one of our previous CTFs, we were able to get our compiler to pretty much grant us access. Etsy issue. Systems can also be identified by looking at the Etsy issue file. This file usually contains some information about the operating system, but can easily be customized or changed. While on the subject, any file containing system information can be customized or changed. For a clearer understanding of the system, it's good to look at all of these. Our PS command. So we've been able to use that to figure out a lot of the processes that are running on Linux system. And of course, that gives us the PID, which is the process ID, TTY, which is the terminal type used by the user, time, which is the amount of CPU time used by the process. It's not the time the process has been running for. Pretty important distinction. And of course, the command, so CMD, the command or executable running. So it doesn't display any of the command line parameters. So a lot of the arguments that you would add. The PS command provides a few useful options. PS-A is all running processes. AXJF is the process tree. So we can see here, we have qterminal, user bin ZSH, and then PS or command. PSAUX, which is the one I usually always run, will show processes for all users, which is the A flag, display the user that launched the process, which is the U flag, and show processes that are not attached to a terminal, which is the X flag. Looking at the PSAUX command output, we have a better understanding of the system and potential vulnerabilities. ENV, environment variables. This is something I always try and take a look at. So here in red, it's pointing out the home directory. We're also seeing the path and the shell that is being used for this user. So the path variable may have a compiler or a scripting language like Python that could be used to run code on the targeted system or leverage for privilege escalation. Sudo-l, you see me run that all the time. The target system may be configured to allow users to run some or all commands with root privileges. Wow, I'm just struggling over that word today. So the sudo-l command can be used to list all the commands your user can run using that sudo. ls, one of the most common commands used in Linux, is ls. While looking for potential privileges, While looking for potential privilege escalation vectors, please remember to always use the ls command with the -la parameter. The example shows how the secret.txt file can be easily missed using ls or ls-l. So in Linux, if you're trying to hide a file for whatever reason, normally it's just to make it, you know, more understanding for you or a program. You have to put a dot in front of it. So here you can see the .secret.txt. If you just do the ls command like above, it just shows nothing. But even adding the -l flag still shows nothing. You need to add -la, which is list all. Okay. And of course, ID, which has, I've lost some sleep thinking about this command and how you just need to leverage that, which again, why it's always good to come back to basics. So the ID command provides a general overview of the user's privilege level and group membership. It's worth remembering that the ID command can also be used to obtain the same information for another user as seen below. So we can use ID on Frank. What groups is he in? What's his UID? Of course, Etsy password. So reading the Etsy password file can be an easy way to discover other users on the system. Like we saw yesterday, we were able to see some other users, but only ones that had a local account. While the output can be long and a bit intimidating, it can be cut and converted to a useful list for brute force attacks. So here they used cut-d quote colon quote -f1. So basically they're just grabbing the first object before a colon and print that all out. You can then take this whole list and pipe that into a file, export that file, and use that for your brute force attack. Remember that this will return all the users, some of which are system or service users that would not be very useful. Another approach could be to grep for home, as real users will most likely have their folders under the home directory. So again, we cat the Etsy password, pipe that into a grep for home, and here we're able to see Alper and Frank. These are two users that have home directory on the local box that we're on. History. Now this one I have to probably add to my list of things to do. A lot of the times we'll see bash history sent to dev null. So basically the history is just deleted. Looking at earlier commands with history command can give us some idea about the target system and, albeit rarely, have stored information such as password or usernames. So if they're running commands that have -u, user, -p, my password, we might be able to find those in that history. If config. So the target system may be a pivoting point to another network. The ifconfig command will give us information about the network interface of that system. The example below shows the target system has three interfaces: ETH0, TUN0, and TUN1. So it's two tunnels and main connection. Our attacking machine can reach the ETH0 interface, but it cannot directly access the two other networks. You would have to create a specific tunnel for those, or bridge. This can be confirmed using the IP route command to see which network routes exist. There you go. You could create a route as well. So here, IP route, default via our main uh, networking interface. Okay. And then we can see our tunnel 1 specific for the 10.9 and tunnel 0, which is 10.50. Moving on, we have netstat. Following the initial check for existing interfaces and network routes, it's worth looking into existing communications. The netstat command can be used with several different options to gather information on existing connections. So we have netstat-a, which shows us all listening ports and established connections. Netstat-at or AU can also be used to list TCP or UDP protocols respectively. Then we have -L, which lists ports in listening mode. These ports are open and ready to accept incoming connections. This can be used with the T option to list only ports that are listening using the TCP protocol below. So some of the other commands I might have run in the past is TULPN. So that is show me the listening ports, UDP, only those. Well, I guess we'll just continue. We'll find the other flags. It's been a while since I've reviewed what those flags fully stand for. Netstat-S. So this will list the network usage statistics by the protocol. And below, we can see some of that. This can be used with the -T or -U options to limit the output to a specific protocol. Okay, so we have forwarding, ICMP, TCP, and UDP. Just seeing some of the stats. The -TP lists connections with the service name and PID information. That's why I was missing. This can also be used with the -L option to list the listening ports below. We can see the PID program name column is empty as the process is owned by another user. Below is the same command run with root privileges and reveals the information as 2641/NC, so netcat. Netstat-I shows interface statistics. We see below that ETH0 and TUN0 are more active than TUN1. Knowing that, you'd probably want to look at those two first before seeing what's on TUN1. Netstat usage will probably see most often in blog posts, write-ups, and courses is netstat ANO, which can be broken down as follows. So we have A, which displays all sockets, N, do not resolve names, and O, which is display timers. That's pretty interesting. Might have to start using that O flag to make sure. So, yeah, do not resolve names. The find command. I've used this once or twice, being able to try and find files with certain permissions. If you can find files with specific permissions, you can then maybe gain access to change those values in there or get that file to kick something else off. For example, if it is a config file or if it's a startup script and that script is run by root, we can then just put in there to spawn a shell or our reverse shell callback. And then that will grant us permission. That'll escalate our privilege. So find command is a very important tool. Searching the target system for important information and potential privilege escalation vectors can be fruitful. The built-in find command is useful and worth keeping in your arsenal. Below some useful examples for the find command. So find period dash name flag one.txt. So that says find the file named flag1 in the current directory. Then we have find/home name flag1 in all the home directory. Under home directory, find flag.txt, and so on. So we can even specify the type. So dash type D is going to look for directories. We can also do type F, which will be file, and then perm, which will be the file permissions. Here in the example, it's saying that 777.0777. So that will give us files that are readable, writable, and executable by all users. There's also perm A equals X, find all executable files. We have user frank. So find all files for the user frank under home. M time, A time, C min, A min, and size. And that's modified, accessed, changed, and accesses within certain time frames, as well as size. So we can even, this command can also be used with plus and minus signs to specify a file that is larger or smaller than a given size. So we have find/size plus 100M. That's pretty neat. So that's finding files that are larger than 100 megabytes. The example above returns files that are larger than 100 megabytes. It's important to note that the find command tends to generate errors, which sometimes makes the output hard to read. This is why it would be wise to use the find command with the -type f2 dev null, which redirects the errors to dev null and have a cleaner output. Makes sense. So then we can do find writable type D 2 to dev null. So find world writable folders. Then we have find perm 222, find world writable folders. And perm -OW, which is all the same thing. The reasons that we see 3 different find commands that could potentially lead to the same result can be seen in the manual document. As you can see below, the perm parameter affects the way find works. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Here, I'll read it out. So, files permission bits. That didn't help. Using the perm mode, files permission bits are exactly mode, which is octal or symbolic. Since an exact match is required, if you want to use this form for symbolic mode, you may have to specify a rather complex mode string. For example, -perm G equals W will only match files which have mode 0020. That is, ones for which group write permission is the only permission set. It is more likely that you'll want to use the // or dash forms. For example, -perm -G equals W, which matches any file with group write permissions. See example section for some illustrative examples. And finally, the -perm -mode. All of the permission bits mode are set for the file. Symbolic modes are accepted in this form, and this is usually the way in which you would want to use them. You must specify U, G, or O if you want to use symbolic mode. And again, see permissions below. See examples below. So if we use find/perm -OX -type D 2 to dev null, we'll find world executable folders. Okay. Find development tools, and supported languages. We can use the find command with the name Perl and a wildcard, or Python wildcard, GCC wildcard, asterisk. Find specific file permission. Below is a short example used to find files that have the SUID bit set. The SUID bit, SUID bit, allows the file to run with the privilege. The SUID bit allows the file to run with privilege level of account that owns it, rather than the account which runs it. This allows for an interesting privilege escalation path. We'll see more details on task 6. The example below given to complete the subject on the find command. So find perm -u equals s -type f22 dev null. Find files with the SUID bit, which allows us to run the file with a higher privilege level than the current user. Crazy. And we have general Linux commands. As we're on the Linux realm, familiarity with the Linux commands in general will be very useful. Please spend some time getting comfortable with the commands such as find, locate, grep, cut, sort, etc. What is the host name of? Oh man, we are going to need that little side box. We have to find specific information about the attack box they're showing us. So how do I pop that up? Did not see this coming. We don't want that one. There we go. Hopefully everyone can still see the terminal here. Let's get rid of these little notifications. All right. So who am I? Oh no, we're Karen. Let's type in host name. So it's Wade7363. Easy peasy. What is the Linux kernel version of the target system? So I'd like to use uname-a. So we can see that the Linux kernel version is going to be 3.13 0-24 generic. Oops. Hopefully we can just paste that here. I guess not. 3.13.0-24 generic. What Linux is this? That will be Ubuntu. Uh-oh. How did that work? Okay, it did work. Let's see. Tried hostname, we tried uname. Did I miss something? The proc file system provides information about the target system processes. No, we did that. Hostname, we got that. Am I missing something here? What Linux is this? Okay. Uname -a. That gives us this information. Some reason. I'm not sure what it's asking here. Hmm, we'll come back to it. What version of Python language is installed on the system? We can type in which Python to find where it's at. Okay, we can type in Python -- version. So we can see that it's 2.7.6. Oh, maybe that's what we need to do is type in the environment variables. Let's see what is here. So we need mail, SSH client, home, log name, SSH connection. Okay, maybe we don't need that yet. What vulnerability seems to affect the kernel of the targeted system? Enter the CVE number. Okay. Let's search, how do I want to phrase this? Linux find version. Different uname. Let's try flavor. Cat proc version. Yeah, I guess we haven't tried that one. Ah, that, Ubuntu 4.8.2. It doesn't seem to match, though. Ubuntu fits, so we're on the right track. Which Ubuntu CLI? LSB release -a. I don't remember hearing that one. LSB release -a. Okay. Now that looks like the right one we're looking for. So how come when we did uname -a, we didn't see that? Hmm. Okay. So it's Ubuntu 14.04 space LTS. Good to know. So now we have to search for what vulnerability seems to affect the kernel of the targeted system. So we know that the kernel version is 3.13.0. So we can go to our exploit DB. So we can find here. It's probably this one. And if we can find there we go. CVE 2015-1328. There we go. Weird way to phrase that, but all right. Task number 4. Let's see what we got. Several tools can help you save time during the enumeration process. These tools should only be used to save time, knowing they may miss some privilege escalation vectors. Below is a list of popular Linux enumeration tools with links to their respective GitHub repos. The target system's environment will influence the tool you will be able to use. For example, you will not be able to run a tool written in Python if it's not installed in the target system. This is why it would be better to be familiar with a few rather than having a single go-to tool. So I think we have reviewed some of these before. There's LinPs, LinyNote, LES, Linux Smart Enumeration Tool, and Linux Priv Checker. Go ahead to the next one. Note, on the target machine attached to the task, follow along. We could SSH chain if we wanted to. So, is this our box? No, that's chat. Privilege escalation ideally leads to root privileges. This can sometimes be achieved simply by exploiting an existing vulnerability, or in some cases by accessing another user account that has more privileges, information, or access. Unless a single vulnerability leads to a root shell, the privilege escalation process will rely on misconfigurations and lacks permissions. So basically just hoping somebody goofed and being able to leverage that in our favor. The kernel on Linux systems manages the communication between components, such as the memory on the system and applications. This critical function requires the kernel to have specific privileges. Thus, a successful exploit will potentially lead to root privileges. The kernel exploit methodology is simple. Identify the kernel version, search and find an exploit code for that kernel version of the targeted system, and run the exploit. Step 4, profit. Although it looks simple, please remember that a failed kernel exploit can lead to a system crash. Make sure this potential outcome is accessible within the scope of your pen testing engagement before attempting a kernel exploit. So research sources. Based on your findings, can you Google to search for an existing exploit code? Search cvedetails.com can also be useful. Never heard of that one. Another alternative would be to use scripts like LES. We've talked about that, but remember these tools can generate false positives, report a kernel vulnerability that does not affect the targeted system, or false negatives, not report a vulnerability that it would be vulnerable to. Hopefully you followed along with that. That was a weird double thing. All right. Being too specific about a kernel version when searching for exploits on Google, ExploitDB, or SearchSploit. Fair. That's what caught us up one of our CTFs. Be sure to understand that the exploit code works before you launch it. It helps to run the VM, double check. Some exploits may require further interaction once they are running. Read all the comments and instructions provided with the exploit code. You can transfer the exploit code from your machine to a target machine using the simple HTTP server Python module wget respectively. We've done that several times. All right, now we have to find the content of flag 1. All right, now I think we can go ahead and switch over to our Kali box. Beautiful Kali. Okay. You got that. Go ahead and SSH in just so it's a little easier on us. I don't think we're going to need notes for this task. All right. Password 1. Make that down, make that a little easier for chat to see. Okay, so now we have to find the content of flag1.txt. Okay, go Karen. Just go to the home directory. Okay. There's Matt. And okay, there's our flag 1. Permission denied. So now we have to escalate our privilege. Let's see. Maybe we will need to make a directory. Linux Priv Esc. Some of the things I wanted to make note of. In addition, let's go ahead and grab this exploit that we found. Which leverages that CV. But just look at that. Mr. Cowboy in the 2D flesh. Oh my gosh, is that Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, man. Welcome to stream. It's been a while. Today we're just going over some Linux Privilege since I am severely out of practice and struggled with a CTF yesterday. So thankfully, TryHackMe has a pretty nice walkthrough just to shake the rust off. Oh, it's a Metasploit one? Oh, no, I don't want that. Shoot. Curry recursion. I got it. Just wanted to make sure I said your name because there's been a lot. It's a WordPress plugin. Oh no, we are gonna have to use this. What was the box about? Are you talking about the one where I tripped up, or that's probably the one you're talking about? It was part of Hack the Box's uh artificial box. So, yeah, that was the one from yesterday. So it's called artificial, and you have to create a manipulated uh AI model to then try and get it to execute some code. It's brought right back here. Might be an easier way. Yeah, we can't run sudo. Cool. But yeah, yesterday's CTF was really interesting. We were able to get up to user, but not able to escalate our privilege. When will the AI hype die down? People realize it's a hammer being used as a chainsaw. Oh, you're so right. Yeah, I'm hoping it's coming soon. I feel like a lot of people are kind of over it. It's like, okay, yeah, I use it to write my emails. I use it to check my code. Now what? It's not that end all be all. Yet a lot of companies think it is, and that's all I see in the news now is just 1,000 layoff here, 6,000 layoff there. Intel just laid off a bunch of people. Uh, I'm trying to get. You know, I haven't technically done the. Yeah, they are in a bit of a spiral. Although I thought I heard that their graphics cards were pretty good, or you know, positive at least. Um, have to spawn up Metasploit just to do this, but I think that's what we're gonna have to do. They're cheap, too cheap. Yeah, yeah. Little late to join the graphics card race, to be honest. I think I saw like their stocks down to $20. Oof. That's crazy. Same with IBM too, I guess. All right. I'm assuming that this module is probably already in Metasploit. Here we go. Verse TCP. Bunch of neat code. Alright. File on the target. Maybe we'll have to try and use lin keys. Oh, yeah. Yep. Good old Ruby. Although it beats, what's the language Cobalt Strike uses? I think it's the language for the buffs. Aggressor script. No, it's called something like Sleep, which she wrote as. Man, my mind is drawing a blank today. He wanted to write his own programming language, so he did, and then he wrote Cobalt Strike with that language, and then yeah, now that's the language. You got to use it. Cobalt Strike Sleep language. Yep. Mudge's sleep scripting language. And Metasploit uses Ruby, and I haven't bothered to learn either of those two languages. Wonder how we're going to do this. Well, I guess first we'll start with if this module is baked into Metasploit, which it should be. It's old enough. Not gonna lie, I don't know what Cobalt Strike is. When I looked at a video or blog post full of jargon. Okay. Uh, yeah, I can do a quick dive into it. So Cobalt Strike is, you can think of it as like the same level as Metasploit. It is a way to craft malicious programs and payloads, have access to all those boxes that are running your malicious payloads, and be able to interact with them and use code. Let me see. Not to pull a pirate software, but little MS Paint might help. It's commonly used, I guess I would say. I know. I just don't know a better way to quickly draw it out. Window capture. and cover my head with it. There we go. All right, so how do I put this? You have your Cobalt Stripe server set up somewhere in the cloud or uh, on a droplet or even on your own server. You then use your attack box to connect over to it. And using the server, you can remain in contact with a lot of your malicious code that's still connected and reporting back to the main server. Your attack box isn't directly talking to the infected machines that you've taken control over. You're talking to the server, which then sends out the commands for you. So let's say somebody finds this server, you can just quickly cut that connection. So it's a C2C server serving payloads. Yes. A C2 server. And it's been around for a long time. I don't think we need to save that. In fact, it was probably one of the first things I learned how to use, quote unquote, because nowadays you have to do so much customization and configuration so you don't get automatically caught. You've never heard of it. Okay. The other thing is, it is super expensive. It is mainly used with red team operators. So you have to get, they don't even tell you the price. It's outrageous. You have to buy licensing just to use this software. They try to use that so bad guys don't really get able to use the top of the line stuff. Look at this, as low as $3,540 per user for 1 year. Crazy. But, if you're good at scripting, if you're good at programming, yeah. If you can get through all these configuration things and properly set it up, it is a pretty well-oiled machine. It works really well. Me, my favorite tool has just been Sliver. That's silver. That's a snake. I don't know if you've heard of Sliver. It is also a C2 framework that was built by Bishop Fox, and it's written in Golang. I really like it. It's always been my go-to because it kind of works on pretty much everything. This might be fun to play around with to mess. Hmm. Gotta love these one-liners. See. I don't even know if I'm able to. Well, it's all public free software. Let's go for it. We'll go ahead and install Sliver and try and use it to get into this box. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Oh no. Yeah, man. Anytime. I'm glad. Hopefully you caught most of the explanation. Yeah, as you can tell, my internet hasn't gotten too much better, but we've been able to keep a steady stream. Sweet. Oh, there we go. Awesome. That's great to hear. Let's see, when was the last release? February 19th. So it's been a while. Oh, update last week. Cool. Yeah, I heard Bishop Fox kind of fired a lot of people that were working on this project. See. No, 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 no. Should be on under auxiliary Linux. Maybe not. Probably should have installed Sliver before, seeing as I keep using it. Well, I guess I haven't used it for CTFs in a while. We've been doing everything manually. There are other Privesk things we could try and do in the meantime. Uh, let's go see what's in the app folder. All right. Cat the Etsy password. Karen, Matt, and then root is up here. All right. See what happens if we start up Sliver. Oh man, it's been a while since I've used this. Let's go ahead. There's DNS, environment variables. I think we're going to have to do generate. Wow, they've added a lot of stuff. Let's do generate beacon. Oh, I don't have the reverse thing. Shoot. All right. Most point is all that just to go back. We can figure out how to use this. just talking about it specifically. I hate this. Exploit Linux. This is going to drive me wild today. This is thought today was just going to be like a simple, a little refresher, little nice, easy stream, go over stuff. Should have known better. Come on. Did we crash? Okay. Use exploit Linux x86 shell versus TCP. Oh, there is no x86. Okay, we already downloaded it. Now I gotta relearn how to add modules to Metasploit. Add module to Metasploit. Okay. User share Metasploit framework module exploits. Okay. Seems easy enough. He said with caution. Forty 688. Ruby, we'll move that to user share Metasploit modules exploits Linux x86. Well, what was the last part of this? Is it already in here? There it is. Show targets. The VM died? Oh no. I'm hoping maybe the box just took a little nap. Nope. It died. Okay. The good thing is it's a small box, so it shouldn't take too long to spin up, and we're just SSH'd into it. Let's see. Set target. So while it's doing that, and we have some time to keep going, we want to use this 1328 because we found out that that's the specific one. Show options. Okay. Payload options, reverse TCP, L host. Required, yes. Listening port, okay. So I think it just needs our listening too long. The SBC on my table boots Linux in 5 seconds. Damn, that's fast. Oh my gosh. I've been trying to recover this old hard drive, an old external hard drive. The partition table just got borked. A whole terabyte. Copied the image using DD rescue and has just moved my Linux box to a crawl. It is so slow. I thought Linux was supposed to be fast. Show options. The listening address. The interface may be specified. Oh, session. The session to run this module on. Oh, gosh. Wow. I'm really losing it on Metasploit. We might be doing a Metasploit room next. Holy cow. Uh, see if we can just make a simple reverse payload, reverse shell payload. Come on. When skid tools are more difficult to use than manually exploit. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. And the worst part is like, I've done this a few times. Like I know it. And we're just gonna set all this up to be done in like 5 minutes. Interpreter reverse TCP. Let's see. Use exploit Linux local bash profile persistence. Just give me a basic reverse. Metasploit. Create a payload. Payload shell bind TCP. Yes. Who made this? TryHackMe room. Shell bind TCP. x86 interpreter bind TCP. payload, Linux, x86, interpreter, bind, TCP. Show options. The listening port, our host, okay. Generate. That's the show code. I just wanted the binary. Ternary recursion. I'm gonna lose my mind over making just a basic payload in in Metasploit. Create basic callback payload Metasploit. Is that an option in our OG one? Just because we set our listening host. Go options. Session to run this module on. Oh, I can SSH through this? Okay. Hopefully. SSH, Karen. At our 10.142.61. Did the box oh no, the box probably picked a different IP address. Yep. I knew I was forgetting something. So now it's 34.182. Yes. Password 1. This whole thing was supposed to be about Linux Priv Esc, not Metasploit. Metasploit SSH as a session. Can we do that? Scanner class. Then the sessions. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to get a basic payload so then we can run the specific kernel exploit that they want us to run on this remote host. Now, for some reason, it escapes me. So I was thinking since we already have the creds, we should be able to just create a SSH session. But I'm not sure. There we go. Payload options. Where is it? The session to run this module on. So we haven't created a session. Welcome in. Search SSH. Okay, maybe this one. If you have a valid SSH creds, the SSH login module will open a Metasploit session for you. That's what we need. Hopefully. We use scanner. SSH. SSH. Login. Run SSH : /user will be our parent. And our password is password1 at whatever the stupid IP address is. 10.10.34.182. Okay. Session 1 opened. Great. Now we can go back and use our overlay. We can see our sessions here. So if we do set session to 1, show options. All right. Now we should be able to type in exploit. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I wanted today's stream to be about shaking the rust off of unused parts of my brain, and I think really shook a lot off. I don't even know if people still using Metasploit out in the wild. I mean, I guess they have to be if it's just available. Shell session 2 opened. So we should have run that kernel exploit. We type in who am I? And we're root. Beauty. Oh yeah. I got an affiliate link for Hack the Box. So if people want to create their account, do some of the rooms, or even work on some of the boxes alongside, more than welcome to. And now that we're root, we should be able to get into Matt's files. And let's see what our flag is. Boom, baby. We got it. Now for everyone's favorite part, watching me submit the actual flag. Can exit that. There we go. Oh, no. All right. So the sudo command, by default, allows you to run a program with root privileges. Under some conditions, system administrators may need to give regular users some flexibility on privileges. For example, a junior SOC analyst may need to use Nmap regularly, but would not be clear for full root access. In this situation, the system administrator can allow the user to only run Nmap with root privileges while keeping it regular privilege level throughout the rest of the system. Man, they don't write these things to just flow easily. And a user can check its current situation related to root privileges using the sudo L. They just use GTFO bins and Bob's your uncle. So leverage application functions. No, I don't read much. That's why we're doing it on stream. So I get embarrassed and I have to read more and get good. It's a skill issue. So in this case, we can use a hack to leak information leveraging a function of an application. As you can see below, Apache 2 has an option that supports loading alternative function files with the -f. Starting to think you do have dyslexia. Yes, I'm sure. Would I lie to you? Reading's hard and for nerds. So using the -f, we can specify an alternate server config file. Loading the etc shadow file from this option will result in an error message that includes the first line of the etc shadow file. Okay, that's pretty neat. Leverage LD preload. On some systems, you may see the LD preload environment option. LD preload is a function that allows any program to use shared libraries. This blog post will give you more information about the capabilities of LD preload. If the env_keep option is enabled, we can generate a shared library which will be loaded and executed before the program is run. Please note that the LD preload option will be ignored if the real user ID is different from the effective user ID. Now, I know for sure we use something similar to that. It might not have been preload, but it was LD something. LD what? Nah, you guys are too quick. You wouldn't fall for that. So the steps of this privilege escalation vector can be summarized as follows. Step 1, check the LD preload with the environment keep option. LD library path. That's what it was. Step 2, write a simple C code compiled as a shared object, a .so extension file. Step 3, run the program with sudo writes with the LD preload option pointing to our SO file. Step 4, profit. Oh God, they're going to make me write C code. C code will simply spawn a root shell and can be written as follows. Okay, so we have include standard IO, types.h, standard live, void init, unset environment variable LD preload, set GUID, set GID, set UID, system bin bash. We can save this as shell.c, compile it using the GCC into a shared object file using the following parameters. GCC, FPIC shared output shell.so, shell.c, no start files. Okay. We can now use this shared object file when launching any program our user can run with sudo. So in our case, the Apache 2 find or almost any of the other programs we can run with sudo can be used. All right. Yeah, because I think we learned that it grabs whatever utility it point at specifically. We do need to run the program by specifying the LD preload option as follows. Yep. Sudo LD preload equals our specific shared object. And then find. This will result in a shell spawning with root privileges. Fantastic. How many programs can the user Karen run on the target with the sudo right? Okay. Karen, tell me your secrets. This died again. No, we're good. 34,182. Password 1. If I remember correctly, I don't think it's any. So sudo -l password 1. Yep, I'd say that's a big fat 0. How many programs can the user Karen run on the target system with sudo rights? You guys saw that, right? Okay. Hmm. Is this a different box? Is this Karen password 1? A big L. No, that's not. Try that one too. LU? Oh, did I miss that? Long day, can't remember. Yep, fair. Sudo -lu. Requires an item. User Karen may not run sudo on web. That's that. Told him. Sudo -lu Karen. Oh, was it uppercase U? Yeah. My bad, I misread the chat. Sudo -l uppercase U Karen. Karen. Hmm. Let's try that with root. Okay, we're just gonna lose our mind here. What happened to root? I mean, so this is our root session. I just figured it might be easier to try and get details on Karen from here. So this says Karen Matt. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one lost. Let's see. Is it a different box? So what I'm thinking is maybe we have to turn off this box and turn it back on. No, I don't want to do that because I'd lose X. Look under Etsy sudoers. Good idea. Okay. Secure path. Members of the admin group may gain root privilege. Allow members of group sudo to execute any command. Etsy sudoers.d. Oh, it's a directory. vd sudoers. Yep, nothing good. That is wild. Could just brute force and go up. So the main reason I think this might be a different box is because in the screenshots they're showing, it says user at Debian, which is different than the Ubuntu box that we are currently on. Launch the target machine attached to this task to follow along. You can launch the target machine and access it directly. I don't know if this, we're just going to do it. Because that said Linux kernel. Son of a gun, I was right. You have to turn off the box to turn it back on? Okay. To be fair, it's always turn it off and turn it on again. And if it's not that, it's always a DNS issue. If it's not that, it's always lupus. That's how the list goes. Oh boy. So that means we lost our root privileges based off of that Linux kernel shock. But now that we know how to do that session weird thing, should be able to do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Fun, fun, fun. Since it's the same Karen username and password, just different IP address this time. 3, 2, 1. Nice. New IP address. Learn. Metasploit. Let's add some notes here like new IP, which is going to be that one. Now I gotta make sure we copy down these commands. So next time I don't look as dumb. There we go. This creates a session. You can use with other payloads. Cool. So now we just have to use 143, 199, 3.199. Forgot to use it again. There we go. So now that we have that session, Now we can try and use the sudo L. Okay. Who am I? Karen. Create new line. We'll do sudo -L. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yay. We did it. So now we're probably going to have to use this to leverage. Just in case, we're going to check out that GTFO bins. Maybe we can just get luckier. All right, what options do we have? We have find, less, and nano. I'm pretty sure nano has like a pretty good one. Ah, beauty. So if we do spell environment variable can be used and placed. So we do sudo nano -s bin sh. Okay. Maybe we just need to do this in a cleaner environment. SSH Karen at 10.10.143.199. Password 1. Sudo -L. Good. Sudo nano -s bin sh. Okay. Now we just /bin sh. Control T. Control Shift T. Oops. Ah, there we go. We got it. Way easier than writing a shared object. So let's go to the home directory. So use here, Ubuntu. There's our flag. Flag 2.txt. Love it. Love the smell of a fresh flag being caught. Boom. How would you use nmap to spawn a root shell if your user had sudo rights on nmap? All right. GTFO bin. Let's go ahead and look up nmap. How would you use nmap to spawn a root shell if the user had sudo rights on nmap? Probably starting off sudo nmap, then a one-liner. Probably -- interactive. Nice. Now we need to find the hash of Frank's password. Go back. We already have root. So I believe we can cat the etsy shadow. And here it is. Oh, I think it's this entire thing, right? Go ahead and copy that. Yeah. We have our browser and paste the beautiful hash. Ah, moving right along. It is interesting to see how long this is, and this is a pretty good module, I think. Not a fan of this startup shutdown thing, but yeah, if it works for them, I guess. Okay. So this one is Privilege Escalation, SUID. Much of Linux privilege controls rely on controlling the users and file interactions. This is done with permissions. By now, you know that files can have read, write, and execute permissions. These are given to users within their privilege levels. This changes with the SUID, which is set user identification, and SGID, which is set group identification. These allow files to be executed with the permission level of the file owner or the group owner, respectively. So you'll notice that these files have the S bit set showing their special permission level. We can run find / type F perm 4000 and list and send the rest to devmel. So let's see. I see it. Right here, you can see the S permission set, the S bit. A good practice would be to compare executables on this list with GTFO bins. Clicking the SUID button will filter binaries known to be exploitable when the SUID bit is set. You can use this link for a pre-filtered list. Oh, that's pretty neat. Oh, okay. I see what it's doing. We do. That's easy enough. The list above shows that Nano has the SUID bit. Unfortunately, GTFO bins does not provide us with an easy win. Typical to real life Privesc scenarios, we'll need to find an intermediate step that will help us leverage whatever minuscule findings we have. The attached VM has another binary with the SUID other than Nano. Ooh. The SUID bit set for the Nano text editor allows us to create, edit, read files using the file owner's privilege. Nano is owned by root, which probably means that we can read and edit files at a higher privilege level than our current user has. At this stage, we have two basic options for Privesc: reading the Etsy shadow file or adding our user to the Etsy password. Both are simple steps using both vectors. Reading the Etsy shadow file, we see that the Nano editor has the SUID bit set by running that find command. We then nano the Etsy shadow. We'll print the contents of the Etsy shadow file. We can now use the unshadow tool to create a file crackable by John the Ripper. To achieve this, unshadow needs both the Etsy shadow and the Etsy password files. So we grab those. The unshadowed tool's usage can be seen below. So you do unshadow your password file, your shadow file, and caret into password.txt. With the correct word list, below luck, John the Ripper can return one of several lists, several passwords in clear text. For a more detailed room on John the Ripper, you can visit that one. The other option would be to add a new user that has root privileges. This would help us circumvent tedious process of password cracking, and below is an easy way to do it. Love the easy way to do it. We will need a hash value of the password we want the new user to have. This can be done quickly using the OpenSSL tool on Kali Linux. So we run OpenSSL password -1 -salt TryHackMe password 1. So that creates a nice hash for ourselves. Then we'll add the password with the username to the etc password file. So we have hacker and then the hash we created, followed by 00 root and bin bash. Once our user is added, please note how root bin bash was used to provide a root shell. We'll need to switch to this user and hopefully have root privilege. Now it's your turn to try that. Okay. Which user shares the name of a great comic book writer? What's the password of user 2? I was hoping it wasn't going to make us do file hashing, hash cracking. And then what's content of flag 3? All right. A lot of reading. All right, our box should be up and running at this point. Go ahead and grab the next IP address. And we'll head back to Kali. Just want to grab it. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and practice with this SUID. Well, we have to do it anyways, because we're going to need the etc password and etc shadow file. Let's see. SSH Karen 112.13. Password 1. Okay, they're not able to do that one. Let's go ahead and run that find command and see what that other one they were talking about. Okay. Let's try that again. Zoom out. Let's see, snap core, that's fine. Key sign, the device, snap fine. Sudo. Base 64. Anyways. So now we have to figure out how to read. Can we just nano those two files? All right. Nano. Much better. Ooh, maybe even better. We can do home directory with their documents, projects, rooms, and Linux Privilege. We'll start our listener on that. Pipe that into our password.txt and cat to 10. Hold on. No, I want to cat our Etsy password. Pipe that into netcat connecting to ourselves, which would be 10, 6, 41, 79 on port 9001. I think that will do it. Nice. And we'll do a shadow.txt. The next one. Like that again. 10, 6, 41, 79, 9001. That's a shame. Nano Etsy shadow. Permission denied. Hmm. That should have just worked. I don't know why we're getting errors on that. Hmm. Oh, I guess we can also start answering some of the questions. So one of them was, which user has comic book hero name? Jerry Conway. I've never heard of him. But he also seems to be the only other user. Well, besides user 2. Go ahead and switch back to our browser. All right. Now to find the password of user 2. Probably have to. Oh, okay, I see. In order to read the shadow file, we probably have to edit the Etsy password and log in as them. So we'll go ahead and use that command on our local Kali box. And we'll run open SSL password -1 -salt cowboy password 1. Nice. So with this, should be able to copy that. Go ahead and add that here. So we'll make our user cowboy X. Now, how did they just add it? They just create. Hmm. Whatever. Just copy everything again. Oh, wait, hold on. So the Etsy password file, you can just use the hash. According to the screenshot that they have, but doesn't really make sense to me. We might be missing a step. Really stretch that out. Okay. Oh no, Tony was still in the last box. No, Linux Privilege SUID. This is the right box. Probably wants us to figure this one out for ourselves. Key sign, get device. There's that base 64. Let's go ahead and keep adding the rest of the stuff. We might be able to just keep it moving. So we have our user, hash 00 root bin bash. User hash 00 root/root bin bash. Is that exactly how they got it? Yep. All right, let's see if we can just do that. Make our lives easier. Nano, let's see, password. It is unwritable. I should have died. Hmm. Maybe if we restart the box, because something seems a little off with this instruction. I feel like we should have been able to grab the shadow file and crack some passwords, but so the SUID bit set for the Nano text editor allows us to create, edit, and read files using the file owner's privilege. Nano is owned by root, which probably means that we can read and edit files higher privilege. Let's just go ahead and restart. Because what could go wrong? We are on task 7 out of 12. Next is capabilities, cron jobs, paths, NFS, and some capstone challenge. Ow. But chug along. No, we must have been on the right box because we were able to get the right superhero. Let's see, desktop. Hmm. So we ran the find. Oh, let me just go ahead and share screen. I'm just going to try it with their terminal. You might be able to get something different. Type F dash pound dash 0 4 1 2 3 dash ls 2 into dev null. Find slash dash type f dash perm 0 4 0 0 0 dash ls 2 into dev null. We're going to pipe that in and grep for nano. It's not there. So it is trying to get us to find a different program that we're able to use that is set with SUID. I think maybe I don't think ping would do it for us. Cat? I don't know if I saw cat in there. Mount, ping 6, SU. Is SU part of this? No, but EGM is. There's sudo diffuser mount at. Actually, I think I did see at. At home. So mount on here. A64. Let's see, read a file. All right, let's try this method, which I believe will allow us to run it. So instead of using nano, we're going to try and use base64, which seems to have that set. Save that for later. Okay, those are the commands we're going to try and run. The other thing is we have to make sure we grab the right box now. One more time. SSH, Karen, 87.183. Yeah, go ahead. Password 1. All right. So we'll set L file to Etsy shadow to base 64 quote our L file. Pipe that right back into decoded with base 64 -- decode. There we go. Okay. So now we have user two's hash, and we can add our special user in as well. That looks way better. One of the other things we need to be aware of is if we can read files, we need to be able to write files. So probably should have noticed that before, but hey, we're making progress. So on GTF opens, we should be able to add both the file write and suid. So now let's see what other commands might be useful. It's just a shame that it's so full. Mount password D sudo. Keep coming back to that one just because it's jumping out when I look at it. I don't think that's what we want. I think we want CHFN. Let's see. No, that's not one of the tools. PK exec. Oh, wait, no, we don't need that now because we're able to have the Etsy shadow. So now we can run that specific command to try and crack the hash. Oh, so if we put that in shadow.txt, copy that. Copy that. That's 10-4, good buddy. Shadow.txt. Paste that in. And we're going to test. Okay. Unshadow. Password. Shadow into password.txt. Did it really run that fast? Here, I'm missing something here. Hmm. Unshadow password.txt shadow.txt into passwords.txt. So now we should run John the Ripper against this. I believe. Hmm. So we ran Unshadow, which I believe just put this into a format that John the Ripper can read. John the Whipper, password, and shadow. First, you'll need a copy of the password file. Okay. See, I don't think we properly get this. Ah. Oh no, we started taking notes in the password file. Go ahead and remove those. Save that. Go back to our notes. Do that. That looks more like it. So now if we run John on password, beauty. I can't believe they've done this. It's just password 1. Okay. I'll take an easy win. There we go. Now we just need to add ourselves into the Etsy password file. Hey, Sevi, welcome to the stream. We're currently reviewing Linux Privilege methods and techniques. So this one has us abusing binaries that have the SUID bit set. So we're just about to add our own user in and see if we can just switch to that user. So now we need to write to this file with our proper setting. What was the one we just used? What lab is this? This is the TryHackMe Linux Privilege Escalation. And then it has just a nice little Lego set. I figured after yesterday, probably need a little refresher. Let's see. So we just got the passwords. Betcha we could probably just sign in as one of the other users, but I want to see if we can change that Etsy password to allow us the ability to write and get in there. So we need file write and suit. And then one of these tools should work. Well, probably, but you gotta see. So we're able to get Yeti shadow using base64. Now, what can we use to write? Here's at. But that won't let us write. Base64, no. Sudo sh, close. Umailed, sudo password. Is sudo or su on here? No. Hmm. This is keygen. But these are all the snap core. I don't think we want to mess with those. Fuser mount and or mount. Make and find. And I don't think either of those would allow us to. So let's go ahead and switch to user 2. directory.txt. Oh, you know what? I bet you we won't even need permissions because we can just abuse base64 to give us the ability to by setting the L file. So L file equals home Ubuntu flag 3.txt. And then we can do base64 that L file. And then just decode it right after. So close. base64 L file. Pipe that right back into base64. Decode. And there's our flag. That's what happens when you got a hand jam. Always try and copy and paste. But that was interesting. Even though we went about it a different way. Also, a weird caveat to this is every section, every task, you have to turn off the task and then start the new machine. That's how it's able to set it up properly. Okay. Capabilities. Another method of system administrators can use to increase the privilege level of process or binary is capabilities. Capabilities help manage privileges at the more granular level. For example, if the SOC analyst needs to use tools and need to initiate socket connections, A regular user would not be able to do that. If the system admin does not want to give this user higher privileges, they can change the capabilities of the binary. As a result, the binary would get through its task without needing a higher privilege. The capabilities man page provides detailed information on its usage and options. Okay. So we can use the command getCap tool to list enabled capabilities. So here we can see getCap-R / to dev null. Okay. So these are for the specific binaries, it looks like. When run as a unprivileged user, getCap-R / will generate a huge amounts of errors. So it's good practice to redirect error messages to dev null. Please note that neither Vim nor its copy has a SUID bit. The privilege escalation vector is therefore not discoverable when enumerating files looking for SUID. Okay, so we have ls-l user bin Vim. We have the symlink to alternatives Vim. Oh, okay, I see what it's saying. It's saying in that it does not have the SUID bit. Okay. GTFO bins has been a good list of binaries that can be leveraged for privilege escalation if we find any set capabilities. We notice that Vim can be used with the following command and payload. So there's our ID, bunch of groups. Then we use Vim with the command pi3 import os set uid execute command line bin sh -c reset and then exec sh. This will launch a root shell as seen below. All right, complete the task described above on the target system. How many binaries have the set capabilities? What other binaries can be used through its capabilities? And what is the content of flag 4? Okay. So for this, once we get started, we're going to use the getCap-R / to dev null. That could have been bad. We'll go ahead and sign back in with our new IP address. So we have our notes here. This is H Karen at 10 10 75 67. Yeah, go ahead. Password 1. All right. getCap-R / to dev null. Okay. Just ping. There's our Vim. Cap set UID. And we also have view, but that's okay. For Karen specifically, we have the set UID capability, which I believe means we can go back to our GTFO bins. Should be able to clear that out. We'll add capabilities. And then we'll look up vim. Don't know why that wasn't working, but whatever. I'll upload, download. If the binary has a sudo bit set, does not drop the elevated privilege, it may be abused to access the file system, escalate, or maintain privilege access as the sudo backdoor. If it is used, run sh-p, omit the -p argument on systems like Debian, okay, default, blah, 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 blah. This requires that vim is compiled with Python support, prepend, and here's our capabilities. So let's try and walk through the capabilities. If the binary has the Linux cap set UID, which it does, or it is executed by another binary with the capability set, can be used as a backdoor. So this requires vim is compiled Python prepend :py3 for Python 3. So if we run which vim just to see, okay. So if we copy that with the command which vim to here, cannot create regular file, permission denied. Now that might just be setting it up. So I believe we can just run this command. If we type in vim with our -c, Python, import OS, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, the command is not available in this version. The binary has a sudo bit set, may be abused to access the file system, escalate, or maintain access elevated privilege, working as a sudo backdoor. If used to run commands via system, it only works on systems like Debian. Okay. So maybe we need to use one of these other capabilities. That's my only guess, but there's ping, traceroute, and some helper function. Oh, we forgot to run specifically the ls-l on that user/bin/vim. Okay. So that shows us that it is alternative vims. Please note that neither vim nor its copy has a sudo bit set. Okay, so they did copy it over. Copy user bin vim to here. Cannot create regular file /vim permission denied. I wonder why we're being denied that. Kernel, environment variables. That's what we wanted. Ooh, Python not found. I'm starting to think they might be doing this on purpose to make you not just copy and paste everything. Which is fair. Okay. So we have to figure out how to get a copy of that Vim. We haven't run ID yet. Okay. Let's see. Password. Just us and Ubuntu. Sudo-L gave us nothing. Which is why I feel like it's this one. We can try. Maybe we can just spawn a shell. No. It's got to be part of this capabilities. Capped. Stop the cap. Oh, you know what might help us? If we actually pay attention. I know, wild concept. So get cap -r /. Get cap -r /2 to dev null. So what I'm mistakenly overlooked is that the next question here is how many binaries have the set capabilities. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we put down 5. No. All right, something's weird. Okay, it's 6 because it's technically counting that first one, I guess. This GST PTP helper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay, that's why I got it wrong. It's on 2 lines. Anyways, what other binary can be used through its capabilities? So that would be vim, view, ping, mtr packet, traceroute6.iputils, So let's try view. Okay. And what is the content of flag 4? So we have to abuse view instead with its capabilities. I think we're going to have to steal that from the Ubuntu. Let's see. So we have the cap set. Let's see what happens when we type in which view. Okay. Let's copy that view. Or local directory. That worked. How come Vim's here? Anyways. Sudo set cap set UID plus EP view sudo set cap underscore set UID plus EP view. Oh, let's go ahead and run this anyways. Unable to. This requires that view is compiled with Python. Yeah, that's fine. Did we miss a step with Vim? Was Vim supposed to work the whole time? Ugh. The binary has the SUID bit set, may be abused. Okay. Let's try this one. No Lua. Press enter or type command to continue. Hmm. Maybe we don't need to use sudo. Enable set operation not permitted. Okay. Are we able to do that with view? And do we need to copy view from the other user? Okay. So somehow we have Vim with root privileges. Are we able to just use this one locally? No. Ugh. I don't know why we're having such an issue with this one. What are we missing here? Okay. Notice that Vim can be used with the following command and payload. Please note that neither Vim nor its copy has the SUID bit set, therefore not discoverable when enumerating files for looking for the SUID. Okay, so we have this specific one that we need to use that's in our home directory, which is root. So we can then use that with the Python set UID. Okay. So this literally should just work. But it doesn't. Something might have happened where I borked the system. So we'll just reset it. Reset it and forget it. Oh boy. Were we up to 3 hours on stream? And we're like 4 tasks away from being done. I think we can knock this out in the next 2 hours. Hopefully in the next hour if we speedrun it. Because it's just cron jobs, path, NFS, and then some challenge at the end. Otherwise, we might call it for a day. Which I don't think we want. At least not yet. Hmm. All right. Is the box up now? To the box, to the box. .103.146. Okay. So I think what we are missing is if we do this search, we can see our Vim right here. And then if we search which Vim, and then do an ls-la on that specific one, user bin Vim, we can see that that also doesn't have the suid bit set. So it could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're able to just run this exact command. Sorry, this command is not available in this version. What other binary can be used to its capabilities? And that was the view from the other one. Git cap -r / to dev null. Cap set UID. So yeah, this specific one should allow us to set the UID. So maybe if we just specify specifically home Aaron Vim, followed by import OS exec. Oh, wait. Is that still the right way that he was doing it? Pi3 import OS. Pi. No way. I think I found what the issue is. Yep. It's because Vim-C quote colon Pi3 import OS and then the rest. We weren't using the right Python. Now we're in. We're gonna grab that last flag. Beauty. I can't believe it was that simple. Yep, I need to start taking my time reading some of these. That has been proven to me time and time again while I've been doing this streaming thing. Let's take our time, carefully read, and review all the screenshots. Before we get to the next section, I gotta take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, off to the next section. Grab our new IP address for the cron job privesc. Make sure we add that to our notes now. Supposed to grab it. Now, this one I've done in the past before, so we'll see how this goes. Cron jobs are used to run scripts or binaries at specific times. By default, they run with privilege of their owners and not the current user. When properly configured, cron jobs are not inherently vulnerable. They can provide a privilege escalation vector under some conditions. The idea is quite simple. If there is a scheduled task that runs with root privileges and we can change the script that will be run, then our script will run with root privileges. Easy enough. Cron job configurations are stored as cron tabs or cron tables to see the next time and date the task will run. Each user on a system has their own cron tab file and can run specific tasks whether they are logged in or not. As you can expect, our goal is to find a cron job set by root and have it run our script, ideally a shell. So any user can run the file keeping system-wide cron jobs under etc cron tab. While CTF machines can have cron jobs running every minute or every 5 minutes, you'll often see tasks that run daily, weekly, or monthly in pen testing engagements. So here in the example, it's just showing some of the jobs that are going to be scheduled to run as root. You can see the backup.sh script was configured to run every minute. The content of the file shows a simple script that creates a backup of the prices.xls file. So they just read the backup script, bin bash, backup date, our destination, our source, and then tari. So as our current user can't access this script, we can easily modify it. As our current user can access this script, we can easily modify it to create a reverse shell, hopefully with root privileges. All right. So this is hosted under our current user desktop. The script will use the tools available on the system to launch a reverse shell. 2 points to note. 1, the command syntax will vary depending on the available tools. For an example, Netcat will probably not support the -e option you may have seen used in other cases. Point number 2, we should always prefer to start reverse shells as we don't want to compromise the system integrity during the real penetration testing engagement. The file should look like this. So we have bin bash, bash-i into our TCP with our port. Okay. Then we run our listener. Cron tab is always worth checking, as it sometimes leads to very easy privesc. The following scenario is not common in companies that do not have certain cybersecurity maturity level. 1, sysadmin needs to run a script at regular intervals. 2, they create a cron job to do this. 3, after a while, the script becomes useless and they delete it. 4, they do not clean the relevant cron job. That's important to note. You delete the script, but you might forget to delete the scheduled task, so somebody can just make a new one in that exact location. So the example above shows a similar situation where antivirus.sh script was deleted, but the cron job still exists. As the full path of the script is not defined, as was done for backup.sh, cron will refer to paths listed under the path variable in the etc cron tab. Okay, so here we can see home user, user local sbin, user local bin, sbin, bin, user sbin. In this case, we should be able to create a simple script named antivirus.sh under the user's home address and should just be run. Love that. Okay. In the out event, you find an existing script or task attached to a cron job. It's always worth spending time to understand the functionality of the script and how any tool is used within the context. For example, tar, 7z, rsync, etc. can be exploited during the wildcard, exploited using their wildcard feature. How many user-defined cron jobs are on the target system? What is the content of flag 5? What's Matt's password? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see. Let's go ahead, see what we got. Go ahead in SSH. One 153. Yeah, go for it. Password 1. So we can see a backup script. Let's see what's in this. Go into admin, result, zip, and okay. Interesting. So let's go ahead and look at our cron tab and see what's there, I guess. Cat, etc, cron tab. Let's try and make this a little nicer to read. So we have minute, hour, day, month, day of the week. So our username, command to be executed. So we have antivirus.sh, antivirus.sh, Karen backup.sh, temp test.py. So that is 4. It looks like 4 user-defined cron jobs. Go ahead and pop back in here. Nice. So now we have to figure out how we can get a reverse shell. Thinking, let's go ahead and look at those other scripts and see what we can see, starting with that test.py. Temp test.py. No such file. Okay. Cat antivirus. Okay. So if we mess with our backup.sh, and go ahead and insert our reverse. Curious to try and think about what it meant by, it's always worth spending how many. Tar, Z7, rsync, etc. can be exploited using their wildcard feature. So this is using the zip. So let's see if GTFO has anything. Home, download, zip. to here. Zip wildcard. I've never heard of anything like this. Okay. The root sudo executable do upload calls a zip command with wildcard by writing files with specifically crafted names in a user control folder. Home, pulse, secure, pulse. The attacker can abuse the wildcards in order to pass custom flags to the zip executable, resulting in code execution. See what the CVE has to say. And I'm already bored. Let's go ahead and just get our reverse shell going. Get back to here. Get our listener set up. And then I think we just gotta wait a minute. Any minute now. It should be that easy. If not, we can just create a antivirus script. I should also run that. So I think in the meantime, we will do that. I believe you can just do something along those lines. Oh, forgot the shebang. And we'll just change this to bash as well. Okay. Oh, shoot. We used the wrong IP address. Because now it's 10.6.41.79. Shoot, that's not gonna fly. Vim antivirus.sh. So we'll just be able to change this 10.6.41.79. Now we should be able to hear something on this end in a minute. Hypothetically. Oh man, this stream's really going off the rails. Hmm.
antivirus.sh.
Just change this back to sh. And let's also work on backup.sh. So we do have to change this. 10.6.41.79. Should hear something on this line. Let's see. Yeah, because the next question is with the content of flag 5. You did see that our jobs are being run as root. Might help to check what the path is. So user local, user bin. So we might have to copy antivirus, user bin, antivirus. So dash L. Good. Kind of getting stuck here, huh? Cat or Etsy cron tab. We could make a test.py and just do that. So do vim temp test.py, insert. We could just paste that in. All right. So now we have 3 of them. One of them should kick off. 10.6.41.79. 10.6.41.79 port 9005. Everything should be pretty good. Looking at that, we might want to run locate antivirus.sh. Can vim antivirus.sh. And one of the things that they had in the example is they just had bash -i, which makes sense. Looks good to me. Not sure what's happening here. Might have to change the cron job. Okay. Stars across the board means that it's supposed to run every minute. Why is it not running every minute? Let's see if we can even just execute this command. Bad FD number. So it has been running, just not well. Did mention that the -E might not work. Which I think is what we're hitting against the wall here. Invalid option -C. Yep. What version of Python do we have? Python not found. That's crazy. What else can we try? So weird bash? Bad FD number. Hmm. Oh, okay. Not supported by SH. Explicitly using SH as the shell with that script. Hmm. That would kick off? Don't know which one this one was. Okay. Let's go ahead and delete that line. Put in this command. See if we get a callback. because we found that -E is not going to work. -C didn't work either. Although we didn't try this one specifically. Damn it. Seed cron tab. Specifically, oh, it's called backup.sh. Go ahead and add that. Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted. Where's our MC that was working? I just saw it. There we go. Well, I'm going to go back here. It should kick off in a minute. I saw another program called Vim Golf. That sounded interesting. It's supposed to help you get better at using Vim and all the shortcuts. Don't know how I'd do. I've been using Vim for a while, but don't know enough to be fancy with it. Hoping it's not going to make us learn what that specific zip wildcard is. But we could also probably use this. Don't know callbacks. Trying to give it a full minute because that's what it should take. This might be our last task of the night. I'm starting to run out of steam, gang. It's a shame, but I think we made some pretty good progress, learned some neat tricks. One thing I'd love to see from you guys is some more suggestions. Feel free to hit me on Twitter or in the comments of YouTube. Hell, the comments of anything. I'm sure they're feeling some fatigue doing all these CTFs. I do enjoy it. I'm having fun learning, but I think we need to mix it up a little bit. So one of our chatter, Sebi, yesterday recommended doing the coding course to play and learn. That might be a fun one to sink our teeth into. Another one I was thinking of is maybe being able to run a blue team CTF. I know it's not as fun, but you gotta be able to see both sides. This one didn't work, right? Yeah. Let's try this one. We know this one worked. And we need a simpler command. Invalid option E. Pretty sure invalid option C. What else can we try? Curl. Who are you? Why are you connected? So I'm guessing they might have done a weird way to avoid some of these bash commands. Like a telnet? Okay. We're able to get some telnet, even with some of these errors. So if we vim our backup.sh, remove that line, insert, pick up, paste back in. Come on, just give me one. SoCat might be the one. Let's change that to 9006, just in case we actually get a response. SoCat not found. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there on that disappointing note. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully we'll be able to pick this up tomorrow, finish it off. Nice, new, refreshed. Like I said, I'm Cowboy. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. Those are the main places to find me. Feel free to suggest anything you guys might be interested in, whether any kind of hacking. I'm down to try and learn something new, and hopefully you guys learn as well. With that being said, take it easy, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.